guys, welcome back to another episode of Chalete Talk with Mamsi and
the Londoka.
yeah. Guys, before we jump into this video, I'll just like to ask you guys to please subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you can be notified every time we upload
a new video.
So, and one thing, guys, thank you very much for the amazing support that you guys have shown us on our first episode on budgeting. We love the interaction we got from you guys, and we are so humbled for the fact that you guys came through and reached out.
And most of you guys have also reached out to us in our inboxes asking for the budget templates and asking for the videos via WhatsApp, but unfortunately the video is too long to send via WhatsApp. But for those that ask for templates, we are definitely working on standardizing the templates and taking out some things that are way too personal, and we'll definitely be sharing it with you. So if you also love the budgeting template, you can just drop your email address in the comment box on the video, then we'll share it right with you.
Let's jump into our second episode. We say episode because the first episode was the video that is already up that we are so grateful for, and this is the second episode on budgeting.
Yeah, so today we are going to go a bit practical because some of the comments are the reason why people are asking for the template is because they're trying to contextualize how the budget should look. So we thought we might bring it down and then do a practical budgets. So when you are in the when you are dealing with personal finances, people tend to ask you a lot of help. We went deep into the archives and retrieved some of the budgets that we've gotten, and we tried to come up with income ranges that are representative of the entire population. So we have three main categories that we're going to be looking at it, which is your income earners below 5,000. And we have the second one, which is between right about 9 to 15, and then the last category we're gonna cap it between 19,000 and 25,000. So anything beyond that or below that, the principles will still be the same. It's only the figures that are going to be changing. And with each category, we're going to try and give a context or to what the background and the facts of the person was. We're not going to be revealing any identity because some of it we've asked personal permission for people to use it.
And we'll start off with our first category, with our first range, which is from the range of 3,000 to 4,000, and this example that we got was for 4,000 specifically. Yes. The factual facts around this category was an intern. You could say it's an intern. It was a bursary student that used to get an allowance from the company, and this is how the person used to spend their money. So this allowance was the 4,000 that comes in, and then the person has 750 for taxi, and then you take out your food for school, and the food for school was $300 per month. So 4,000 minus 750 for the taxi, and then 300 for food minus. This person also used to, another fact, this person didn't used to rent. They used to live with their parents. So they used to contribute $1,000 just to help out at home. I don't know, it could have been for food, electricity or water, but the person used to contribute $1,000. So 4,000 minus 750 minus 300 minus $1,000 minus toiletries. They estimated that their toiletries was at 300, and then minus toiletries, and then the rest that remains is what the person used to send to their savings account.
Okay, so I think, like, if you look at this person and if you're, so now there's no point in us just putting out the budget there without actually talking it to how can you, if you are in a situation like this, how will you make it work for you? So one of the wise decisions that this person decided to do is to stay at home. A good thing that you can do if you are starting off with a low income category, you might want to consider staying at home and contributing to 1,000. And sometimes if you are staying at home and it's a voluntary contribution of 1,000, people at home tend to appreciate that, such that in the months where you can't really,
they relieve you. There's certain months that they relieve you from that obligation.
So if you are that person, the one thing you can do for yourself is stay at home. The second thing she mentioned, that this person would budget 300 for lunch at work, but you could also but you could also carry a lunchbox to school. That's the second practical that you can look at. And taxi, sometimes you can instead of hopping in a taxi every day, you can opt for a monthly taxi, because monthly taxis tend to be slightly cheaper. Especially if you are a group of friends and you both go to the same university, and you come and you approach a taxi driver, pay the same fee as you would pay if you take a taxi on your own. So that's also one of the practicality that you can look at. And as this person was also an intern or a student, they still had a bit of savings, which is one of the things that as students, if you are watching this and you are a student, you must be watching out, because when you are at university, you get a lot of allowance and you don't have a lot of fixed commitment. Yes. And then when you start working, there's a whole lot that comes onto your plate. You must buy a bed, you must buy a fridge, you must buy and if you have zero savings, you're gonna end up getting into furniture accounts, because all of a sudden need a bed to buy. So, and especially also students that are in particular UNAM, Polytechnic, NAST, whatever, they get these government refunds. And people just squander the refunds instead of building a reserve for themselves,
or just making something useful out of your refund. Because mostly what I've noticed is that a refund is actually money that can go off to good use. Like we were in our first video, we talked about businesses at home, which is tuck shops. If you are a student that really can think, you can use your refund to make a tuck shop at home. With that tuck shop can bring you income, and your taxi to go to school can be paid with that money that comes from the tuck shop. And the tuck shop can also help you at home. It can help you with your books, it can help you with your taxi, and it can also help you build another saving for just to have money when you start working. Because I find it very difficult when you start working and you are coming from, you have nothing.
Yeah, true. Like, maybe let me just I also shared it on my blog at some stage, just like a personal story. When I started working, I was working in Windhoek, and I didn't have family in Windhoek. My mother, everyone is in the north except my brother. And my brother also didn't really live at a place where there was excess room for me to go stay. So when I started working, I practically had zero income, zero savings, and I needed to look for a place to stay. And then luckily I was offered, then one day we went for this induction at work. And then someone asked me, so where do you stay, Christina? And then I said, I stay at some place in Katutura, and every day I just wish I could go back home. And then they said, okay, I'll speak to my wife, and if she agrees, you can come and stay with us for 2 months. But if you fail the first board exam, you're gonna pay us back. So I was like, what the heck am I supposed to do? So it was a good deal. So I took it, and their aim was, we're gonna help you for 2 months to stay here rent free, because we know even if you go start the rent, fine, you're gonna get a salary and you're gonna move out from your brother's place the first month. But where are you gonna get money to pay the deposit, to buy a bed?
With a person that has a salary range of 4,000, shop workers. Their salary ranges also fall within this. Unfortunately, we didn't get an example of, because we do not just want to just throw out numbers like this. We want this to be real, to see how people are surviving for certain salary, from certain amounts. I'm more interested in a working mom, because I feel like parents have so many responsibilities and roles, and obviously the 4,000 that the student is using, a working mom will obviously have to divide this 4,000 and make it work in a different way.
Yeah, in a different way, because unfortunately the 300 that was lunch at school is no more lunch at school. It's now
bread. It's maybe bread for the kids.
So it's quite a challenge. And the moral of the story, if you are in this low income earning bracket, is just to understand that you need to live within your means. Like, people are going to judge you that you stay in a bashu, or you stayed in an informal settlement, whatever. But if that's where you need to go for your income level, it doesn't help you're earning 4,000 and you're paying
rent for 3,000, and then you are left to live off $1,000. Guys, let's be practical. Is it really realistic? You earn $4,000 and your rent is 2.5. Okay, living in your means also you need to compromise on certain situations.
You need to strike a balance between what you want versus what you need, and versus what's actually practical.
What I can also take away from this budget is that this person doesn't have a fixed amount that they say, this month I'm sending, it's compulsory that I send the 1.5 to my savings account, because this person knows that the capacity they are in, so they know that whatever is being sent to their savings account is after they deducted their expenses.
And also sometimes, like, we also just need to be practical. For example, we live in Walvis Bay. It's a very small town, and there's a lot of fabric workers, seagoing personnel, and people walk to the industrial area. Like, it's not a walkable distance, but there's a whole bunch of people that are walking there, and you know that it's an industrial area. If you're going to be paying taxi, you're going to be paying double. So you need to look at that. Maybe you just need to wake up at 30 minutes a bit earlier so that you can also join them. You really need to look at your circumstances. You can't say now people in Walvis Bay are advising us to walk to work. Yes, we walk here. If it's also impossible,
we are also not advising that, since you mentioned that instead of you maybe buying food, you can just take a lunchbox, because like this person, mind you, is a student. You never know even what a situation is at home. Sometimes they only cook enough food that is only enough to eat for dinner, and there's not enough to take to school. So in this case, that 300 for lunch is reasonable for them, but it's just that just make sure that the 300 you don't deplete it within the first week.
So we're going to be moving on to a new category, and that is someone that is earning between 9,000 and 15,000. So this is your typical, you've just graduated from UNAM or from UCT or whatever the case may be, and you've got
you just got lucky and you just found yourself a
good job. Yeah, so sometimes, or you could be working for so long and now you got a promotion. Effects and circumstances of this person, new graduate, and they've just started working, and their take home pay is 10,350. So that's what they take
after deduction.
After
obviously,
the deduction,
the facts that we have here, we did not consider that the before
deductions. We don't know what her medical aid is. We don't know what her tax bracket is, but we can possibly work it out, but this is not for this video. So what gets deposited in their bank account is 10,350. So from that 10,350 at work, they did not have a pension scheme, which is something that we would talk about it at a later stage in detail. But a lot of young people tend to job hop a lot. Like one year you are working for Namsoft, the other year you are at Tunako, the other year you are at
whatever company,
fishing, or whatever the case is. But most of the time, if you are job hopping like that, you tend to cash out your pension as and when you leave jobs.
Which is also going to be another discussion for another topic, where we are going to show you guys what is actually the best way when you're job hopping.
So at the end of the day, you don't build up any reserve. You are now going to be getting a stable job when you are 50, and there's only 10 years to retirement.
I know it's out of topic, but do you really think when you're job hopping you should cash out your pension?
No, you shouldn't.
I strongly also just against it.
But I think sometimes people don't know that you can actually transfer it to
sometimes
another
people
pension
do it
fund.
Also on purpose. I've had a scenario where I had my uncle said that he wants to quit his job just so that he can claim his pension.
Yeah, true.
I don't know if it's legal though, but is it?
Well, I can't comment on the legality.
Yeah. Okay. Back to the topic.
So this person did not have a pension scheme at work, so they opted to take out a personal pension. So they were contributing 736 per month on pension, and then they had a long-term investment for Sanlam for 849. So those are the fixed commitment that they have. Then, as this person also just came out of university, but they wanted to advance their studies next year. So what they've done is they went out and enrolled or they went out to find out what the tuition fee of will be, and they set up an investment account at bank. And you really need to start thinking about how you're going to fund your next degree, and it doesn't have to be
your next qualification.
Your next qualification. It doesn't have to be you need to go get a study loan.
A study loan always.
Bank X, and then you said it should always have like at least 2 accounts, where it's your transactional accounts where your salary comes in and where you pay things from, and it's your savings account where you put like your famous 32 days account where you put your savings. And then, so the person had that, and then they also had a 2,000 building fund. This is now your typical Oshuambo speaking person, where when you start working, so those were their savings. So out of the 10,350 that they were getting, 4,585 was going to savings. Then, so the total savings come to 4,585 of the 10,350 now has now saved. And the ideal budgeting structure is you get your money, you pay yourself first.
This is what you call pay yourself first.
Yeah.
Your saving is a way of you paying yourself first,
because you are repaying yourself for the hard work of waking up every day to work. And
yeah, but what I've noticed is people they tend to think that pay yourself first means after you took out all your expenses, the money that you are left with is your pay yourself first. But for me, the money I'm left with after taking out my savings, the money I'm left with, I refer to that as my net worth for the month.
Yeah, because it's essentially from there where you can now start dealing with life situations and expenses.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we have the expenses for the month. So this person spent 700 on
So
food.
this person's budget is, you can clearly see up here, it's the income that came in and the different saving categories that they have, and then we move on to the expenses.
So they had food for 700, but what I also know, this person also didn't rent. In as much, because it's not practical to rent in your first year of work. It doesn't, unless
situations don't allow you
like me that didn't have a place to stay. Unless situation. So she was contributing 700 at home for food, and then she had taxi for 800, and taxi in Windhoek is quite expensive, and then she has 300 for entertainment. This is now you, because you are now working
My
class.
entertainment is always the highest. I'm joking.
For me, I don't. You must treat yourself once in a while. It doesn't have to be every month, but now and then you have an entertainment budget. Then this person was also contributing 300 for electricity at home, also taking 300 for lunch at work. And lunch is one of those things that we tend to. We know we're going to eat lunch at work, but we're not even budgeting the exact figure that we're going to be eating at work.
But in actual fact, you are supposed to put it in your budget, because your body, just a fun health thing, your body is the only thing that makes you to be able to get this money. So you should also take care of it. So it's just humanly.
Yeah. Then the person have airtime of 190. I actually like the fact that they put in that in their budget, because most of us use away or super away gig, and you're gonna be paying it, you're gonna be using 4 hours a month, and then it's just better to put it in your budget. My side hustle thing, if you didn't watch the first video, we were speaking about side hustle. So one of my side hustle is to sell electricity and airtime. I have a vending machine that sells electricity and airtime, and most of my clients are actually people that upfront their away payment. They get paid, they deposit the full amount in my account.
Oh, that is awesome.
And then I just send them away voucher on a weekly basis instead of them, because sometimes we also spoke about method of payments the other time in the first budget, and we said you need to be able to manage your bank charges, see how to effectively pay your bills. And sometimes when you buy airtime with your phone,
there's those rates that you don't really consider.
That's just their way of being able to control that they're gonna be buying airtime anyways, and then it's just easier for them to pay upfront. For last category in this person's budget is 1,200. That's going to family contribution.
Okay, if you guys haven't watched the first video, that's why I'm saying, guys, you need to go back to the video. It has just mentioned that families have bank accounts which they deposit money to help in case of emergency or just for family matters. So
it could be that person is also from a family where they have a group account, and it's normally someone that started the account kind of judge you based on the type of work that you do, and they say, because we feel like you work at an office that is in Klein Windhoek, you are fit to contribute 500. Sometimes it's really a fair reflection of how much you earn, but sometimes it's just perception about people. And I've also written a couple of articles about money perceptions, because it can really push people to try and live up with expectation.
And one thing I'll say about perception is, I don't know if people notice that, but when we go for interviews, they always ask you how much do you want to get paid or whatnot. So depending on how you priced yourself, because mostly companies just give you what you ask for.
Yeah, true.
So maybe now you have this perception of me that, okay, since I work at this specific place, I might have been getting this much, but when I went into that interview, unfortunately I didn't maybe know my worth, and I said this amount, and that's the amount that I'm getting paid. Now my family member feel that I am getting so much. Now they decide that I should maybe contribute $3,000
so
example.
So yeah, so this person's expenses now total up to 3,790.
And then you minus now your total expenses, which was 3,790.
Yeah.
And then you're still left with money.
Yeah, true.
You're still left with money, which is you're still left with the 1,974.
Yeah. So that for me is something I personally do also, because I don't like my expenses equaling to things get out of proportion.
You should always have a little bit of buffer.
Yeah, so when things get out of proportion, when someone comes and cries to you that they really need to go attend their uncle's funeral and they really don't have the money,
the mushroom of expenses that we talked about,
so you can squeeze it in there. But for me, this is now where I was saying that I am saving. I personally put this in my home loan, so I save in my home loan. In my budget, so I'll let this money lie in my account for the whole month. So, and then as we get closer to payday, then I push it in my home loan.
Ooh,
so
the difference with what we do with our surplus money is you push it to your home loan. What I do is I have a category which I already allocated money to my saving, and then when I have this net worth for that month, which I call net worth for the month, I go back and say, okay, I budgeted to send 2,000 to my 32 days account, for example. So now let me take this $500 and add it, so that now on my 32 days account is now 2.5, and now let me take again another $500 and send it to my Benwinduk account or something.
So I think we just need to now look at the takeaways from someone that is any category. So what I'm seeing, this person doesn't have any loan repayment.
First year of working, guys, it's really tough. It is very difficult, and the type of financial decisions you make will have a very, very big impact on your financial journey as you continue working.
As you continue working, and sometimes it also has an impact on your credit record. And sometimes you take out this home loan thinking you're gonna survive, because now you are looking at it, you are earning 10,000. If you take out a rent of 3,000, you still have 7,000 left. Oh, surely you can afford to pay a furniture account. Then boom, because you are now the breadwinner in the family, because you are the first cousin to start working, someone dies in the family and you are forced to go take out a cash loan to arrange a funeral, and then now all of a sudden you can't afford to pay your furniture account anymore. Then the furniture account payment bounced, and then that's gonna have, when you go and later take out a loan for a home loan or a car loan later, then you're gonna get a steep interest rate, because your credit history has been impaired by the fact that at some point your debit order bounced. So it's things like that we really need to be careful as we start our journey with financial discipline, and making sure that we don't set a trap for ourselves.
And one thing I can also take away from this is that this person earns 10,350, and for the person to send 4,585 to their saving is quite well, because I can tell that this person, you can live within the means of 6,000, which is what they spotted that they could live within that mean. I feel like people mostly always pay themselves less.
Yeah, true.
They are so, I don't know, they feel like, okay, I am now getting this much, so at least as long as I'm sending $1,000 to my saving account, I'm doing well. But what are you actually trying to save for? Like that $1,000, when it accumulates at the end of the year, is it really worth what you used to get?
True. So I think that's also a very good point. And this person is also if you now quantify, put it into proportion, 4,500 equates to 44% saving rate, and the bare minimum that you should be saving is a 10%. In if you have read the book of The Richest Man in Babylon, that book says you must pay yourself at least 10% of your people in the financial independence retire early community, they are striving between 30 and 50% saving rate. So for this person to be saving 44%, they are already close to the maximum saving rate that people are looking to save. So if you are starting out, or the one thing that I can also say though is this person definitely did not fall into the trap of getting a softened contract. A lot of us, when we start working, we feel like it's such a statement to have a double one number. So now you go to MTC and then take out the contract, and
because you're gonna get a free phone, which you don't know it's not free,
Yeah, I say it is really not free. No, I'm getting manners and I'm getting a phone and I'm only paying. But it's this person really did a couple of good decisions that could. And there are a lot of people that are starting off to work with the 10,000.
Yes.
But are living way completely
Very
different.
large.
But also we cannot judge people. We cannot put people on the same
Yeah,
scale.
and we can't try to come up with a general standard for people because people have different tastes, different likes, and different view of life.
So I think just a typical or a good example or good advice for someone that's starting off to work, one thing that you really need to be careful of is don't fall into the trap of you need to prove to the world you're working.
Society's norms of people that are working.
Yeah.
Then one thing, a pay slip does not equate to. It does not mean that you should get yourself into loans just because you can with that pay slip.
Yeah, no, you don't have to do that. So we kind of dealt with the second income category, and we now need to move on to the last category, which is your
drum roll, please.
Where we all want to go.
Where some people feel like that is the
money.
Is
that is
the money.
Real juice.
So that's the
okay. So the income statement. Income category of 19,000 to
25,000. So, and this is after deduction, guys.
This is after deduction. So this is what I like about this example is someone got paid and their account was not zero when their salary came in, but because most of us, when your money comes in, there's that $50 that must say mandatory that you can't go below $50.
Only that, but that $50 doesn't also show on your balance. It's only with the bank that the bank knows. But some people like me, my account can go to zero, and I just patiently wait for the payday. Okay, guys, that used to be last year me.
Yeah.
This year me is totally different.
So then we have this person so the account had 199 before the salary came in. The person had 200 in their account, so 199 running it off 200. Okay. Then salary came in of 19,347. So that gave them 19,000
plus the 200
which is the 19,546. So we are dealing with 19,546 as a net income. The person got paid earlier and somewhat had to pay 3,000 to a friend in a loan, and then they had lunch with a friend, which was 452.
Which is something we neglect a lot because I've seen that if you know that you will go on a lunch date or dinner date with friends, you know it's an event coming up, so people tend to neglect this and not put it on their budget because they feel like it's not important or it's not budget worthy. But it's something. It's a very smart decision that a person can make.
Yeah, like I personally also keep like amounts like that in my budget because when I travel a lot with work, especially when I go to Windhoek, my goodness, everyone's like, yeah, you are in town, can we meet up for lunch? And it can't be people paying all. They bought a book for personal growth, like guys, like they bought $103 book for personal growth. Like personally, I also like buying self-enrichment stuff, but I like buying them in secondhand shops or in on sale. I'm not gonna buy a book.
Just remembering books now. I promised a friend that I'm gonna buy her book. She just wrote a book, so I now need to put it on my budget also.
Okay. Then so now the person got the money, came in, paid a friend 3,000, paid the lunch date with their friend, and then they transferred 8,000 to voluntary saving. This is now you trying to control yourself because you can't just chill with this 19,000 chilling in your account. So they're like, okay, let me pack this 8,000 because if you're earning really 19,000, you can afford to pack 8,000.
Even 10,000, you can afford to pay 8,000, 10,000, and live on the 9,000 and the dollars.
So they had the 3,000, the 8,000, the 452. Then they spent 219 on toiletries. This sounds to me like someone that's topping up the toiletries.
Yeah, it really sounds, because to be fair for a girl, your toiletries really don't go to $200. They are more than that sometimes.
They are more than that, but we don't buy ponds every month, scrub every month. So there are certain months where you just have to top up pads and a few other
like
things.
And also one thing I'll say about that is Clicks is forever always having special of buy things in bulk.
Yeah.
So it's always like it's always, I would advise someone to buy things in bulk rather than every day or every month just having the $300 to buy toiletries. Because if you buy things in bulk, it means that you're only going the next, maybe after 2 months you don't buy toiletries, and when you get to go buy toiletries, it's just to top up something that just finished.
Yeah, true. So that's also a cash flow management tip.
That is juicy.
Then this person did a monthly withdrawal. So this is now going back to our first episode where we spoke about method of payment, whether you're gonna withdraw. This person now had a petrol for 200, so they made a lump sum withdrawal of 500.
Okay, and
then they had petrol for 200. Then they had a gift for their brother for 100, and then they have food for the week of 200. Okay, I really need to do my budget. So this is already what I've spent before my commitments even went off. So they drew a line and say, okay, from this, what am I still expecting to go off my bank statement? Then they had rent. Obviously, they had to pay rent, 925 in rent per month.
Okay,
750. So the saving is coming later because they got paid earlier.
Yeah, and then things happen.
Then they had to pay a gardener 800, and then they had to do charity work of 1,000. So the charity, you take all those into consideration. The person got this person doesn't really have now total income, total expenses, because this was almost working backward. So it has a salary and then the expenses, and then after they did the mini recon, they still had 7,724 left. Then they took off their fixed expenses, then they only had 797,
which is now the rent, the old mutual, and the
gardening and
the charity work. From that $7,724.
And
then they were left with 797, which we refer to as your net worth for that month,
or your buffer for the month. And then this person was already living in the future. She was already budgeting for the loan repayment, but no, she wasn't really budgeting. She wasn't living in the future because this friend said they'll pay it back before the 30th. So they're expecting
the 3,000 that they borrowed to the friend to come back
which within the same month.
Which you talked about, which is your debt collection.
Debt collection. But you must really be careful when you budget like this, because people tend to overpromise and underdeliver. It's like, I'll give it to you back on the 30th.
And then the 30th come, something came up, can I just please give you a 1,500?
Then I'll give you the other in next month. So when you are here listening and you're that type of person that asks for money, please be realistic. Like personally, I've made a rule in 2020. I am not borrowing you money if you're not submitting your budget to me. Because I need to be
able to, just like the bank.
Yes, but
the bank, they ask you to bring your 6-month bank statement.
No, non-negotiable. If you can't, if that's the only single rule that I have.
So if you're not bringing that budget,
I'm not.
We are not doing this transaction. It's going to be my rule also.
It's not happening.
Imagine me telling my dad, Daddy, I love you. But please give me your budget first before I borrow you money, guys. That's just a joke.
But for parents, it's a different story. For parents, you are borrowing them, you are giving them money, but you are paying them back for things they did for you. So no. So I think from what we can learn from this friend is
we are so sorry. We for at this point we don't have those budgets that were really dodgy and they just don't add up.
But we're gonna try and reach out, and if you really have a budget that isn't working, that
as we send out our templates, the people that really want our templates, can you please allow us to come into your life and save your life when it comes to your money? Can you please be part of our 10 test subjects? Come with your finances as they are. We are not looking for people with perfect finances. We are not also excluding them, because we need them to maintain that perfect finance schedule, because your finance schedule can change in any minute. I am really hoping that someone that is in real financial troubles, that has a pay slip that gets attacked by cash loans, personal loans, car loans, housing, insurance. I am really looking forward to that person. That is a challenge that we are going to take upon, so that we can help you get out of your situation and make the most out of your money.
So basically that was our practical insight into budgeting, and we hope that you've learned something, like as we discussed with the 4,000 income category, the 10,000 income category, and the ideal income category of the 20,000.
So guys, thank you very much for tuning in. The Chalete movement is peace out.